Introduce yourself for those that may not know who you are.
I am Dave Barrett.
I'm Steve Macpherson, and we play in a band called Superchucker.
Tell me a bit about how this came together.
We played in separate bands, learned about each other, and just rocked out together after, about 10 years of knowing each other?
Yeah, but something like that. Dave was in a band called Muffin, and I became a member of Muffin. This would be about 2 years ago, and that's kind of the first time we'd really played in bands together. And Stavros was in Muffin as well. Yeah. And so basically the extension of the band and how it kind of all came together, Rob and I played in a cover band about 5-6 years ago.
And Rob is your drummer, just
Rob is the drummer, yes. Rob Hasse. And we played in a cover band, about 5-6 years ago. And that's how we met. And so we hadn't really done anything since, but, remained friends and all that. And essentially Sean's connection to the band was Dave and I were playing in a Judas Priest tribute called Judas Rising a couple years ago, and Sean was basically in that fold. He had basically applied to an ad in the paper or whatever it was, and that's how we met Sean, and so that's kind of the connection there. So over the years we partially played together, but one thing led to another, and next thing you know, basically Judas Rising sort of we ended up all coming from that, or three of us came from that, and talking about doing the original side of the creative element that we all have burning in us, if you will, and that it kind of became a natural thing. Dave and I had talked over the years, briefly. Yeah, dude, it'd be great to work with you and this and that, all that, kind of fun stuff. You don't really give it a lot of thought, but
we had the opportunity to do it, and what the hell?
There you go. Yeah, so all blended. And
so this was a fairly recent thing that you guys obviously came together with.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, you play bass on this one, but I've seen you play quite a variety. Tell me, first of all, some of the bands that you're known for, because a few of them are fairly known to a certain niche. So maybe let's give a bit of credibility there. Give me a bit of your history there.
Okay, so I guess going back, I was playing in kind of a thrash crossover band called Spewgore.
You got to say it properly. Spewgore!
Okay, I'll leave that to you, because clearly I can't compete with that. But that was the band, and that started up around 2006. Local band, but we got a bit of traction here and there, and if you will, kind of a semi well respected band, if you will. But that's where all that started, and then through Spewgore, we sort of ended up in Piledriver, or the Exalted Piledriver as it's known as well, and that's a band that actually Spewgore ended up being a backing band too. Essentially, it's a singer flip is what it became. And so the Exalted Piledriver, we've been in that band for the last 10 years, and so we do a lot of one-offs, and we don't tour or anything like that. But
but your one-offs tend to sometimes be overseas too. So.
Overseas, South America or whatever, we do a little bit of that. Nothing crazy. We haven't played a million shows or anything like that, but we played a bunch of really cool shows and some great opportunities that we wouldn't otherwise have. Piledriver, the name, the first two albums in particular go back to the mid '80s, and with Gord, our singer there, and the Piledriver, if you will, just kind of worked out that we ended up being in his band, and we've been fortunate enough to get the opportunity to play throughout the world. And
now, when you were in Spewgore, rhythm lead.
It was only one guitar, so
it's only okay. In Exalted, you're same, and you're on bass now. And you told me this before, when you and everybody came around, you kind of felt that's where you needed to be on this one. Yeah,
actually, we did talk about that. That's right. It was sort of in my head that was the role that I wanted to play in this band, because I wanted it to be, even though I'm not necessarily a bass player first, I feel like I know that role very well. In this role, I wanted it to be, I wanted the backbone to sound like maybe a little more pop influenced, maybe a little more R&B influenced, as opposed to just straight out metal and just strumming every note, because that's what you do. I respect all those players and whatnot, but that's not really the approach I wanted to bring to this. I wanted to bring a little bit more pop sensibility to it. The songs have a little bit of that too. They're regular in a way. The structures are sort of normal that way, maybe a little more accessible, if you will. And I felt it needed that role, and with the guitar players that we have, it was like, I don't need to play guitar in this band by any stretch.
You don't need to be the Yannick Gear when you got Dave Murray and Adrian Smith.
There you go. There you go. Thank you. No, that's actually a really good one.
Well,
that's really
it
good.
leads into you wanting to be Steve Harris, but let me talk to the Bruce Dickinson here for a second.
Yeah, I've been hogging the mic. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, this is good because typically the bassist does not get the mic, so I'm about to give the mic to the one that loves the mic.
Oh, jeez.
Your voice, sir, I kid you not, and Karen and I have an appreciation for when we first heard the single. Yeah, good job, sir.
You like that?
Because I will be honest, most of the time I hear something from Steve, the vocals ruin it. And I'm not trying to take away from the skill that involves some of that death metal. That is skill. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But I don't like my ear to bleed too much.
Yep.
And honestly, I know, but listening to you, where the influence is. There's some Priest there, so some Dickinson there. I can tell.
There's a lot of different influences. I even like Colin James and Elton John and Neil Diamond and stuff like that. I'm into a variety of music, and it's important. I think it gives you a good flow on how you're writing also. And the way that we write, it's a little weird. We'll
elaborate on that, because the writing side always tells the story. To be honest,
it's little stories. Like when I'm writing the lyrics and that, I look at the other side of the story. Like you could have the plus and the negative, but what about something that you don't see? Like one of the songs that we write, Liar, for instance, it's about people that bullshit everybody. And everybody is going to be lied to one way or another, and we're calling them out. That's exactly what it is.
Twisting your words make them so unreal. The stories you weave, tell me what's the deal. And you try and you can to convince us so. As we watch you fall.
We were talking about the writing process. Maybe walk me through some of it, because you've got current material, you've got upcoming material. Maybe walk me through some of that.
Well, Steve will come up with a song, a line or whatever, and throw it out to the guys, and I'll listen to almost a complete song, and then I'll come up with a story with it. And usually I'll go with my gut instinct and say, okay, this song sounds like this. And then I'll start elaborating on whatever that story is. So it's fun. You got to make sure that you don't piss people off, though, but sometimes you just got to do it.
Now, have you ever been in a scenario where you've had to modify the music drastically to incorporate a different view story-wise, or?
No.
No.
I always get dragged into it.
Do this.
That was the saddest no I ever heard in my life. Wow.
No, we'll talk about different things and different parts, and the guys will all come along and say, okay, well, let's try this or extend this or change that or whatever. Yeah. So it's definitely a group conglomeration, we'll say, right?
Yep.
And we'll say, okay, well, does this work? Does that not work? Yep. And then 9 times out of 10, I'll come in at the end of it and say, okay, let's try this, and lyrically, and I'll start moving around, and sometimes it takes me like 15 minutes to write lyrics for it, and sometimes it takes me like
A lifetime.
5 months, and I'll go,
Yeah.
I just can't get this.
Yeah.
So
Do you think, and none of us are young people, let's be blunt about it.
Yep.
Do you think the maturity of the team kind of plays into it to a degree? Like you've all obviously seen decades, for lack of better terms, of experience. So
I would say that that's probably been a good factor for us. We're older. We realize the realities of what we're doing. We're not naive to think, oh my God, we're going to be, we're going to be this or that or so forth.
oh, come on, Colonel Sanders became the king, at 65, so you still got time.
Okay, well, okay. Because it's a couple of years anyways. So, yeah, and you know what? There is a reality there. And we've all, for the most part, been in bands that, maybe took themselves a little too seriously. And they thought they were the be-all, end-all. And sure, we all get caught up in that to some degree ourselves, I'm sure. But, we're older now. We realize that... that there is a reality to where we are in our lives, and we all have careers, and we're all thinking of the retirement, maybe in the next 10 to 15 years, we're thinking of that. So I mean, am I about to give up my my retirement package to go on the road at this point? No, not a chance, right?
To your point, you were saying, I'm up at 4. Well, in the old days, you'd be going to bed at
That's
4,
for sure.
not
That's right.
getting up to start the day and then
that's right.
end it with a kick-ass show, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And then driving all the way back.
Of course, yeah.
Because, okay, now, Hired Gun. Has any of you actually seen that documentary?
no.
Oh, Hired Gun. Yes,
Hired
I have.
Gun.
Yes, I have.
Okay. You gotta.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because it reminds me of the reality of the lack of a better term, the 1% of music. The remaining 99 that your gear is being slugged around in your car. You're going to be loading, unloading, blah 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 blah. There's no crew. The list goes on, and then that documentary just to me. First of all, it made me a huge fan of Five Finger Death Punch.
No, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
because it's his story, basically, how he went from, this to Alice Cooper, and then said, I want to, buddy up with my friends, and next thing you know, he's the lead guitarist of, Five Finger Death Punch, which, huge band right now, right?
Yeah.
But the documentary just made me really relook at music in general. You know what I mean? So I know you haven't seen it, and you will. I guarantee after this, you will make a point of going and seeing it. Your thoughts on it, because you would have seen a good chunk of that kind of world, but in I don't want to say a B level, but you know what I'm kind of getting at. You're exposed to that.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, it's this is the part where I'm going to say, I think I slept through half the movie because I was really tired or something like that. Yeah, dude, I saw it. But I mean, the whole premise of guys that essentially are they are just trying to make whatever, they make their $40 or whatever it is to slug it out for whatever band or so forth. There's a lot of character that's attached to somebody that does this for almost nothing. It shows a lot of personalities in that, maybe it's love for their friends, or their just love for music in general, or just love for being a player, or love for
Love for
just
music.
or just being creative. And it's funny because we don't think of your regular jobs and think of your regular life and what kind of effort you put forth, and often it's not nearly what you would to go and we go and write a bunch of songs and practice and we do all these things that we should probably be doing something else. Maybe I should be going out and making $100 going out and shoveling snow or something like that. But no, I'm sitting here writing a song, or I'm going out and playing with my friends. So and making nothing doing it. But you know what? There's so much so much of a
Creative element to it.
Yeah, and the personality of that person that does that is it's amazing. Like we got 3 guys that are joining us later tonight that are all coming out here with the same passion. They're driving. One's driving from Aurora. It's not a close drive. He's coming out here to make less than $4, and his share of the 20, and he's making his share of the 20.
Oh wait, you actually told him it was 20. You were supposed to say it was 10.
I know, right?
As you make up your web of life.
love of the music and the creativity and everything like that.
Yeah.
With myself, when I started getting into the music, I was so shy. I couldn't talk to people. I still can't usually on stage or anything like that, but I have a voice and I want to say something, and that's I'm glad that I have creative partners to have that platform to say something. I've taken acting lessons, I've taken vocal lessons and all that stuff, and everything integrates on stage. You get into the audience, you have that feel and everything like that, and that's such I won't say a turn on, but it's such a good
Yes, it is.
feeling.
Well, it's also a connector.
Yeah.
We've all been to concerts where the energy is just flowing through every single person there. You can't describe that. Of course, that's not, but it's there. And that, I think, it scales to that large scales, but it's also there in the 5-person crowded bar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The realities, as you say, financially, you're not doing it for the money. You can't. It's like same thing when I do this stuff. This is the passion project. The day job pays the bills, and the passion project basically keeps you sane, for lack of a better term. Right? And especially as we get older. I don't want to say we all went through a midlife crisis, because some of us went through multiple, but you got everybody.
Some of us. Is the word "some" like?
Are you looking at me?
All 8 of us. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, that's why he's got such good lyrics, right? Because you got to have that experience, right? I've done nothing in my life. I don't know what to write.
Right.
It doesn't work that way,
Learn how to
right?
dance too.
There you go. When you look at this collection, because like I said, we've talked obviously about how we got to this point where years and years of trying this or whatnot.
Yeah.
Does it feel like home finally? Like, you've gone through a lot of bands, you've gone through a lot of experiences. Does this one feel, like it's been waiting for you, or is it just another project? And I'm not trying to diminish that statement,
No. You want to start? Or I'll go ahead.
For me, I like releasing something and having the masses listen to it, and then getting feedback, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I like to hear what people have to say about the songs or what that song means to that person. For me, I'm writing about something, but it could mean something completely different to the other person. And I'm going, okay, well, this is fun. This is something for me to say. The older I get, the more I have to say, unfortunately. But people start gravitating towards the lyrics and everything, and I'm going, okay, cool. And you need that heavy punch, and this is why I'm really proud to be working with these guys, because they got the heavy punch.
They do have the heavy punch, and like going back to that, in your particular case, the vocals ain't rooting that heavy punch. If you follow my gist,
yes,
because I've seen that happen way too often.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be stellar with an instrument; it's another thing for you to be the instrument. Yeah. If you follow my gist, not to take away from musicians in general, but the vocals, there's nothing plugged into you to pull off vocals. It's you.
Yeah.
We're obviously short on time. You guys are about to set up. Anything you want to add?
Well, because I'm selfish.
Oh, selfish away. This is all about the selfish.
Well, I was just going to say, so going back to the other bands and whatnot, I think we have value in everything we do, whether or not it's the older bands or newer bands. Muffin sure was an excellent band, and some excellent people in that band as well. I'm certainly even Spewgore and Piledriver and older bands like I was in a band called Spin Dog basically in my college years, and we played a bunch of cool shows, and I still have some and my brother was in that band too, and so I find validity in everything that I've been a part of musically, and I would never diminish what they've done. So for me to say I'm home, I wouldn't say that.
It was a loaded question. I'll give you that.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that because I totally respect everything I've been in. But I'll tell you, I love this band. I love this band. I love the guys in this band. They're all excellent at what they do, and they all contribute. And it's been a pleasure. So far, we're about a year and a half in since and this is still an early band. We're right now putting together our debut album, if you will. So and you know that's coming together probably for a late summer, early fall release. And so we're excited, and that's all new material. That's all stuff that we've never recorded, you know, and released before. We did the EP, which we would like to think had given us a nice start. We proud of those songs. There's some even now we sometimes look in hindsight and go you know that wasn't so good or whatnot. I think we all do, right? And every song on that EP I still really like.
Yeah.
And I know we haven't gotten to the hindsight portion too much yet. Liar is sort of in the hindsight right now, and Liar I think is a fantastic track,
and a pretty good video as well.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, there's the plug.
Thanks. All right, okay. And we got that, and so that's and right now even the tracks we're doing now and going forward, there's I'm excited to get to that point where we're going back and as far as every band, validity across the board, and I'm great friends with those guys as well, but this is where I am now with this band, and it's fantastic, it's really great, and we just keep plugging forward on it.
Having fun with it, and we're having a good time, and that's the thing.
And I think that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like I get to see you guys live later tonight, but I can see it in the conversations that I've had with you. I can see it in the lyrics. I can see it in the music. The fun is there. I can definitely pick up on that. It's not a orchestrated, oh my God, we got to sludge through to get this done. I'm pretty sure there was very little struggle in most of that stuff other than personalities.
No, the personalities, believe it or not, we're all
so there you go.
Straight right out.
Imagine that. No struggle to be creative. What a concept.
We're constantly laughing in the studio all the time.
Yeah.
And we do push ourselves. So as far as the struggle to be creative,
yes.
Of course, we want to better. We listen back and we go, ooh, that bass line, no, it's not. That wasn't so hot. Maybe I'll redo that again. Think about something a little different. Try to think outside the box. Dave, we know. It's funny. We were demoing a track the other night, and same thing. It's a track we were talking about how some take ages. Well, that's a track that goes back a year and a half. That goes back to the very early demos, and only now I think Dave's finally settled on a lyric for it. It's not going to make the next record because it's too late.
Because I was pushed.
I said, Dave, come over and do some demos. You got 2 days to write the lyrics for that song, and sure enough, it actually turned out to be really good. So and that's just the demo version. Of course, we'll probably elaborate on that and go from there. But he's found that pocket.
Well, it sounds like it would be the first song that I would hear on the next album.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
Yes. Maybe.
Yeah, it could be like a deep buried album track or something like that.
We might do a Journey song. Who knows?
We might.
Are you going to detune it?
Hey, there's some good Journey tunes.
Are you going to detune it, though?
We're not playing Open Arms, just so you know.
What?
No.
What are you talking about?
No. I got my ideas of Journey tunes. We're not doing Open Arms.
Oh, Open Arms is great. From Heavy Metal. That was a good movie too.
They have a stellar movie.
It was.
Oh, yes.
I think I fell asleep during that.
You
one, too.
fell asleep.
I'm really bad at staying awake.
Okay,
during
so
movies.
I'll leave it with this. Both you have to be awake and listen to Hired Gun, because I got to say, as a documentary in the music industry, it's one of the best ones I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
So I know you'll both appreciate it. Reintroduce yourself.
Dave Barrett.
Steve Macpherson.
And you are with?
Superchucker.
Listen, your words make them so unreal. The stories you weave, tell me what's the deal. And you try and you can't to convince us so. As we watch you fall, the plan and you can't do it out of bed. As you say it, it's all bullshit. Stop telling lies, it's quite a shame. Only you're to blame. It's all you, lawyer. You know God, lawyer. You filthy liar, liar.